Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream. Missed a week, but I'm back. Audio's working. I've been working a ton, and even though I'm late by an hour and a half, I'm here. And so, gonna answer your questions if you have any. Gonna show some new stuff off. Going to hopefully have some fun. A couple hours. So, yeah, I know. Been absent lately, but working real hard, and here's some proof of the work. This right here, this is what we drilled out, or this is what I drilled out of the 1,500 gallon aquarium. That's how thick the acrylic is. So, yeah, no joke when it comes to that. That's why it was so expensive and so heavy and impossible to move around. And I only had to put one hole in it though, so it worked. So that's a big step in the opening the store expansion. Still got some plumbing to do, got other stuff to do, and just getting it done. What else have we been working on? We unloaded a cargo container this week. New goodies, not really anything for online. So for the 11 people out there that are like, all Cory does is try to sell us stuff. None of the stuff I get to show you today, I can even sell you. You got to go to our retail store, which most of you can never do. But I think there'll be some fun parts of talking about, maybe some of the choice we made and that kind of stuff. So one of them would be this. You can't even buy this if you go to our store. So this here is a plant rack. Now, we don't use these. We will probably at our retail store, but the store expansion was being built out to use our old racks, different dimensions. But we built these nice green ones so that local stores could have more thriving plants. So hopefully that'll help you locally. In the RPP stores, these will probably be up for sale in the next week or so. We're waiting around pictures. Person normally takes pictures on vacation right now. And, not too expensive, but they'll hold your plants upright, make it easy for replacing, and same quality as we use. So some stores have been replicating old ones we had in the past that we used to make, and they were very costly, right? So to make something this size with labor and maybe ABS or acrylic, you were probably looking at roughly $40 per, and we'll be doing it for, 10% of that cost, basically. So it'll be real cheap. And no sharp edges. They do have our little logo. I always love to sneak our logo on there for the Aquariumcoop. I don't know if you guys can see it. But, so you'll probably start seeing some of those in the retail partner stores. Not game-changing. You won't be able to buy them, take them home, or anything like that. But, nevertheless, hopefully we'll improve the hobby a little bit. Just keeping the plants upright, keeping them organized, makes things a little bit easier. Hopefully, when they're in rows, it'll help stores from one falls over and like, ooh, is that really young pearlweed or is that Monte Carlo? Those types of accidents should be gone from the retail stores. So, yeah, and they got our own little flappy deal on there. So we brought in 2 10-foot tall pallets of those. There's lots. We have over 100 RPP stores at the moment, and once we open up, there's kind of a line forming of wanting us to open up, but we're just cramped at the warehouse. We want to catch up with the backload, put in more processes, all of those types of things to make sure we're not, right after Christmas is usually a real big ordering season for the aquarium hobby, and so we want to make sure that we handle that with ease and not put a ton of stress on our employees and the system and have out of stocks and all that kind of stuff. So, so if you're a store and you're interested in that, it'll be next week. If you're not an RPP store yet, gotta wait till spring. We put out the cutoff earlier. All right, what else do we got? If you're a member of the Aquarium Co-op, you can get this nice Yeti. That was a horrible sound. It's because it came off of here. This nice Yeti wide mouth, I'll have you know. Enjoy Nature Daily thing for free, kind of. I mean, obviously you pay to be a member, but at the 5-year mark, you get this bad boy. So if you've been a member for 5 years and you haven't synced up your account on our website, do that. And then after 2 orders, you would get this. If you've already been ordering from us, decent chance that your account's already been flagged and your next order you'll get it. But as long as you're getting the 5% discount on the website after 2 orders, you should get one no problem. Or maybe even 1. It just depends on where you're at in the buying cycle, when we enabled this and when it started flagging accounts. And then how long, you had to have been a member for over 5 years and placed an order, then it flags your account and the next one gets it. So, I know Candy received hers and a couple other people have gotten them already, but they're kind of hot off the press. They're not cheap, by the way. I don't know if you guys have ever bought like a Yeti or something nice and then obviously having it printed and stuff. But this is something you can carry around for years and just kind of a cool way to say thank you and, shows off the membership. So, kind of a neat thing. 7 months away. It's a while to wait. And it is 5 years. And I have had those conversations with people on my teams of how we want to incorporate some more rewards for earlier stages in membership, but we're kind of bursting at the seams. And so there's not that many people been, a member for 5 years. So we'd have to bring in a whole heck of a lot of those. But when do I have the 5-year coin here yet. That's year 3, 2. Here, no, is this one it? Yeah, the 5-year member coin. But obviously, like a 1-year member item, a lot more of those, right? And a 3-month member item and all that kind of stuff. So, we're working on it. It's a slow rollout. I do know, I also brought up in the conversation, what about our international people? And I said, well, maybe we can look into developing a program where at like 5 years, let's send them all 5 coins and their Yeti. It's going to have to be a manual process, so it won't be like every time it's a year. And plus, we don't make any money on that. Not that we're only doing this to make money, but when you order something from us and we put it in the box, not so bad. If I have to create a box that we didn't sell anything in and ship it to Australia, well, that's going to cost us a ton of money. And so we want to limit the amount of boxes and, maybe send it once at 5 years, which I realize it's a long time to wait. But I'm trying to devise a system. Like, how do we get this to international members that have been supporting us for a long time? So, yeah, the 1-year membership. Do I have the 1-year coin? I have 2 and 3, and my Wildcaught coin, and the 5-year member coin. I'm sure I used them for something else, or they're sitting around somewhere else. So I've only got 4 of them sitting right here. The aquarium is more than 4. It's like 8 or 9 Aquariumcoop coins thick. So, yeah. All right. So, anyone got any fish questions? I can still go on about crap that we do in business, but sometimes we want to hear fishy stuff. So, what have I got going on? I got a cool pond you'll see coming up in a newer video. I got to film it still. There's new types of rocks at our retail store. You'll start seeing those in my tanks. I ordered them because I like them. So they're not super affordable. They're super cool, but they're expensive. And they're not for everybody, And what I mean by that is like, this rock is $14 and it's just like a rock. Yep. But to me, it's a cool looking rock. So, what else? We launched some aquariums. This would be the smallest one right here. Got something in my eye. It's killing me. This is the 2.5 gallon. And I'll take it out and show you some of the different features that I chose and changed and all of that. So, got that new aquarium smell. Like a new car. So first, it's super high clarity glass. So low iron. So less green in the glass. So it's more clear. I mean, it is more clear, but if you're new to the hobby, you might just be like, yeah, I don't know, this is an aquarium. If you're picky about it, you're like, yeah, I only do super clear, high clarity glass, right? One of the changes that I liked, was my idea, we put a bottom on it. So it's kind of a hybrid tank. Maybe I should have called it the hybrid aquarium. So it has a rim on the bottom, so you can put it on that crusty old thrift store dresser you just bought, because everyone goes into our store and goes, what do you think about this thing? Will it hold an aquarium? And it's like, maybe, yeah. It still has the foam, or the little like yoga pad as I call them for the rimless tank, but it's built in to this, so that way you kind of got a lot better, a lot more options to put it on. I'm not going to say unsteady surfaces, but your counter and all of that might not be 100% true. This will absorb a bit of that and not make it just crack instantly. So, you kind of get the nice rimless top. You do have the extra support on the bottom. One thing I opted for, so you see, this is the back. The back has corners, right? Come to a 90 degree. The front, all curved glass. So this whole front panel is actually one piece. And you'll know if you ever had a rimless aquarium, it's these front corners that get chipped in your house and they look terrible. Well, when they're rounded, they don't get chipped. And when your kid trips and bounces its head into it, it doesn't split your kid's head open. So you got the nice curved glass up here, so all one piece, stronger, nice. And then the other thing I don't like about rimless aquariums is normally they don't have a top. And if they do, that top sucks, because fish can still jump out. So I actually had to open up molds and do things that this company wouldn't do, and they fought us on it. But I said, I don't want any if you can't do what we're wanting to do. So you get a nice little front piece here, feeding hole, right? And that does some of the aquarium. You get these nice little clippies. Boom. Gonna put 4 of those on. My dog's losing its mind down there. So now we've got our little clippies in. I gotta move this one forward. And then the plastic back strip. This, we had to open up our own molds. It's super robust. Like, this is the stoutest back strip money can buy, basically. All these edges have been nicely, I want to say mitered, I guess, sanded correctly. You put this bad boy back on there. And now you have the perfect rimless glass top. Normally glass tops, they either fit the whole thing or just have one corner cut out. They don't adjust for hang-on backs or any of that kind of stuff, or they leave way too much of a gap, and now your fish are jumping out. With this bad boy, look at that. I'm going to hold it just so I don't break it as I show you guys. But now you've got a pretty nice fitting top there, cut out to your filtration. You could still just run airline tubing through the side or a heater cord pretty easily. You've got a little feeding hole if you wanted to feed through there. You can also just, grab it and take the top off. So I think this is, peak performance nano tanks. And we go all the way from 2.5 up to 13 gallons in the retail store. We don't ship these or anything like that. And in my opinion, very cheap. I think the biggest... I can tell you. Let me look it up. I can tell you how expensive our tanks are. In case you're a retail store customer or you're going to go there someday and you want to load up. Let's see here. We called them High Clarity, maybe? Oh, I think curved. All right. The prices for the low iron curved glass tanks, as we're calling them. The 2.5, so this little one I got right here, with the top and the bottom and all that, this bad boy we retail for $25.99. And we go all the way up to a 13 gallon, which is pretty big. You'll see some in the videos coming up because they're in my fish room. I haven't set them up or anything, but the biggest 13 gallon one is $59.99. Comes with the top and everything like that. And so one of the objectives was I felt aquariums in general were being monopolized in America, where it's like glass itself real cheap, aquariums not cheap. And so these sizes, we're selling them for below what we used to pay for wholesale, right? So an aquarium we might sell for $60, we might have been paying $80 before to like an Aquarium Marine Land or something like that. So by cutting out middlemen and going, hey, to grow the hobby, aquariums need to be affordable. Now, I still think aquariums are a great return on everyone's investment. The amount of enjoyment I get out of a single aquarium is hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of enjoyment. But to start that journey, the lower you can keep that threshold, the more people can enter. And then once they see the value, maybe then they have 5 or 6 aquariums, or they get larger aquariums or something like that. And I just didn't feel that, when I very first started working in aquatics, and this was, how many years ago? 16 or 17 years ago, you could get a 10-gallon tank, 10-gallon tank with a light. And we could retail them somewhere between $25 and $30. Now that's not even close to what it is anymore. And so, we'll play the game that I think is insane. If I look up the Aquarium aquariums that we sell, our 2.5 that we were selling, let's see, do I have it? No. 5.5. So a 5.5 rimless aquarium that we were selling was $52.99. We sell ours, I think it's $29.99. And then a rimless 10-gallon, we were retailing at $69.99. And nowadays, just a 10-gallon tank, normal with trim, no top, no nothing like that. We sell them for $30. So not completely affordable, but by the time you got to put a top on it and there's no light, you start getting kind of expensive. So, doing what we can. Obviously, can't just sell them at negative money, but we're trying to keep that price low enough to keep it affordable, keep people entering the hobby, so that we all have friends to nerd out with. So, do what we can. We're doing our part. We're trying to. Not always just make the most money you can. If you have any good info or any good sources on finding good info on building proper koi ponds with bottom drains, maybe you go to koifen.com. The koi forums are pretty good, but a lot of it's a DIY. Or not DIY, but outside of contractors, and some know what they're doing and some don't know what they're doing when it comes to bottom drains. And what a bottom drain is on a koi pond is, think of it like a big bulkhead that has a cover so that koi can't go into it, but it can let, if you get the slope of your pond correctly, all the poop and everything migrates towards this drain. And when you open up the drain, you can kind of suck it out and just water your garden and do whatever it needs to do, right? If you get all that dialed in real nicely, it's auto cleaning. But it depends on what's the slope of the drain, how much head pressure is there, and that'll, so if your hole is this big, it might go 8 feet out is what it'll suck and kind of roll into and go away, but at 12 feet out, it would just stay there. And so when you go into designing your bottom fed, tanks or ponds, you need to kind of know all that. You can also bring the water back through it. You can, with a series of valves, you can do the draining and the supply. You can do all of these tricks, and it's really nice, but you need someone that either knows what they're doing, or you need to study up on it, like this person wants to. And so when you study up on it, you can kind of design a system that you're going to play with. Realize you probably won't always get it right the first time, as in, maybe the next pond you build gets better. But, I actually have not built any bottom drains myself. I haven't really seen a need for it. I'm the guy that I can have a little bit of mulm in the pond, and I think it's actually beneficial for raising koi babies and stuff. So I'm not looking for super pristine clear. If I was, I'd probably go with drum filtration and stuff, which is kind of too nerdy for what we're talking about. Advice for dealing with duckweed and septic systems. I mean, I'm on septic, and I'm sure duckweed goes down mine. To the best of my knowledge, there wouldn't be really any light, and so it would die and rot and just kind of filter out normally, just like human poop would. So, I mean, unless you're putting 55-gallon barrels of duckweed down the drain, I think it's a non-issue. It'll just break down and rot. The aquariums aren't for sale on the website or anything like that. A future stretch goal So this we brought in. How many did I bring of these in? I think I only brought in. Let's see here. For an initial test run, I only brought in 144 of each of them. And so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is that? That's about 700 aquariums. For just one little store, like that's quite a supply. But we want to see how well they manufactured, how well would they ship here, all of those kind of things. Our stretch goal long term, let's say 5 years out, so don't, they're going to do it any minute. Let's think 5 years out or more. Our goal would be to work out a way where we could ship like a pallet of these tanks to a store and get them at an affordable price. But the problem is that shipping alone is brutal. So we, as a company, need to grow a bunch and scale a bunch and get a bunch of retail stores ordering by the pallets. And unfortunately, business is kind of chicken and the egg thing where, I could ship this pallet to you for $200 if I was like a Cory who ships pallets all the time. But, I'm just Joe Schmo, Aquarium Co-op. It's $800? And they're like, yeah, when you ship, 1,000 pallets a year, it's $200. And you're like, but that's a huge difference. And there's no difference other than volume. And so it's a real high threshold to kind of get to over that hump. And it means we need a lot more RPP stores, and they all need to be buying thousands and thousands of dollars to justify shipping a pallet. And then we have to, kind of work it out where you pay half, we'll pay half on that shipping. And then eventually you trip over the threshold and shipping's only $200. Great. Now we can really do some stuff. But until all of those things happen, it doesn't make sense to move aquariums around the country. So we don't. That's right. These aquariums are handmade in Washington. That's right. Every one of them's made right in my backyard. Now, they get delivered. They're made in China. We went and visited the factory. And we spent time there and chose options. I needed to do this. It took a disproportionate amount of time than you would think to explain has to have the backstrip. Like the backstrip part was blowing their mind because when you don't speak the language, trying to discern between glass and plastic. I don't want all of it plastic. I just want the backstrip plastic. And then they kept like this much? Like, no, the whole thing. Like, the whole thing? Not because they had full glass ones. And they'd be like, you don't want the corner cut? Like, no, don't cut the corners. I don't want any corners. And then we were worried that these weren't going to be rounded. And so it took, the majority of the time was in top work of trying to get them to understand. And it came out beautiful, right? So now we own a mold to make backstrip pieces that are freaking bulletproof. These things are amazing. I'm sure we're going to get some heat from people that buy this. They're like, that cutting this is insane, right? But it's going to last forever. This stuff is a tank. So there's a fine line between too heavy duty and usable by the average human. So we're probably riding that line real close. Like a Dremel make quick work, but just normal scissors, my fingers hurt. So it's going to be a little rough, I think. But it'll hold up. Yeah, only in stores? Yeah, we have no expertise in shipping aquariums online, and I would say no one does. Oh, but this and this company does. And then you look at other hobbyists and you're like, oh yeah, XYZ company shipping me my fourth one. 3 in a row been broken. We know Amazon can't do it. And I ask them all the time, or I ask myself all the time, I don't know if they're actually making money. Now that being said, when I compare the quality of our aquarium versus what is being sold online, I'm going, these are triple the price of ours. But I fully realize getting an aquarium from point A to B somewhere in this country is very difficult. And so even at triple the price, I'm not convinced they're actually turning a profit, And a lot of times you'll run into that loss leader mentality, which we try and avoid at all costs. And that is selling an aquarium super cheap and they'll buy all the other things. Well, if you got to ship an aquarium 3 times, that's not good customer service. Doesn't, make them think you're a good brand and then, hope to make it up on the other stuff. So what's my take on driftwood? I think it looks super cool. I don't like my water turning brown. In my opinion, the best driftwood is African bog log that's almost never imported anymore. I actually told myself I was going to start watching Craigslist, start buying some pieces up because I've given her all the way through my moves. Or when I worked at the store, people would be looking for it, and I'd be like, "Well, I've got some, but I don't want to sell it." And they'd offer me more money than I want, or than I could say no to, because I'm just a poor guy eating, a cup of noodles in the back of the store, and $48 on that log. Like, okay, I'll do it. But yeah, so when it comes to Malaysian driftwoods, manzanitas, spiderwood, we carry all of them. I'm not in love with them though. Like, I think Malaysian driftwood's kind of soft. I think Mopani releases too much tannins for too long. The spiderwoods look really cool, but I always keep plecos, and 2 years later they're just like a real much smaller version of what they used to be. They get all spindly and they snap off and they get eaten. So I think it's really good for some of the animals. They love to eat on that wood, but I'm not convinced that I like rock. So if I go and spend $13 on a rock, 5 years later it's still that $13 rock. I spend $13 on a piece of wood. 5 years later it's like, hey, it's a toothpick. What happened? So, but it does look cool, and especially in the right scape, the right piece of wood, I'm still opening my wallet and buying it. Even if I think, oh, I don't like what wood does. That's a cool piece of wood. I gotta buy it. Okie dokie. Do I have any business concerns about all the rumors that Chinese manufacturing is going into upheaval? No, I don't really. I mean, politics, business, all that stuff, I kind of lump into this weird little package of it's always changing. Every day there's a new rule by the shippers or by the government or by a business partner or by something else, and you just have to roll with the punches and you go, okay, So we already do things like we try to keep a year's worth of stock in our possession, just for manufacturing disruptions. Is it COVID? Is it war? Is it government? Is it money problem? It could be anything. So do I lay awake at night? No, I don't. I just go, yep, maybe that would happen, and we just wouldn't be able to sell a product. And then most people go, but then you wouldn't be able to make money. And I go, yeah, but I focus on the things I have control over, and that's how thick is the plastic on an aquarium, and not so much what would happen if these countries did a thing. Like, I can't control that. So I don't worry about it too much. We hedge our bets the best we can. We would diversify if that was possible, but I believe in our industry it's very difficult, and we haven't had much success doing that yet, even though we've been attempting. And what the other part I would say is the companies we're working with, most of them are giant corporations in China. And so when they see turmoil, they start pivoting as well. So I know one of our manufacturers, for instance, is opening up a production facility in Thailand, right? And so they're already going, let's diversify a little bit and do this and do that. And, because they've got way more to lose than I do. If, oh man, I can't sell my thing, they're going, their whole business dies. And yes, a lot of our stuff, like, oh man, you can't do any of that. And if we get nothing from China, I'd be like, wow, that's not good. But we can still have YouTube income, right? We still have a retail store. We can still buy other products in America and sell them. Not that many are made. Like, I will give the shout out to Extreme Fish Foods are made in America, so we it would do better. But I don't lay there awake at night because I can't control it, and then I would just never get sleep. I already, most days have too much baggage under my eyes, and so, worry about what you can control. Or I'm not telling you what to do. I tell you what I do. I worry about what I control, and what I can't control, I just try to push it away and go, yep, that's really gonna suck if that's the case, but I can't stop it anyway. So I'm gonna focus and control things that I can control, like this live stream. What do I think the advantage to Dean's fry setup compared to a regular breeding box? Thanks. Good seeing you live streaming again. I think the biggest advantage is the enclosed spaces. Because they have solid bottoms, you can target feed really well, and they don't have to swim very much. It's also very easy to take it and dump it into another aquarium once they grow up. You can tumble the eggs, but at the end of the day, if you only needed to hatch out one batch of eggs a month, a breeder box is fine, honestly. But when you have a full production fish room, and what I mean by that is you're pulling eggs and fry every day or every other day, and you might go, well, I'd have to have 40 breeder boxes. It's much easier to be like, okay, I got a tray of 10. They go in, and then you're like, oh, I got to pull eggs. All right, these guys are coming out. You can upgrade to this 5 or 10 gallon aquarium. You're coming in. You're going to get the brine shrimp. You can afford to swim for that brine shrimp now. And you can manage the fungus or anything like that a little better. So I think those are the main advantages. But just, I would say just because Dean or I or anyone you see does something a certain way, doesn't mean it's the best way. There's a million ways to do everything. And whatever way works best for you is the best way. Like, you'll meet breeders that are awesome and way better than I'll ever be. And they're doing it in pickle jars because it's old school, right? 1 gallon pickle jars have raised a lot of fish in their lives. So, find a system that works well for you and just do that. But I would say mostly it's, Dean's system is out of space constraints. In a perfect world, you just have more aquariums. What's my opinion on wild caught fish versus captive bred? Same old, same old. Whether they're wild or captive bred, I don't really care. There's pros and cons to each. It's out of the wild, you're killing the environment. Or if I buy it out of the wild, I'm supporting the local economy that stops killing the environment. If I buy from a local breeder, you're supporting the local economy. That's amazing. Yep. If I buy from a breeder across the country, but their quality is amazing. There's literally a pro and con to everything in life. And everyone will have different values. And people love to distill down to this good, that bad. But as you understand more and more, and maybe that takes you visiting and meeting the people and doing the things and this and this and this, you start going, well, it's not just good and bad. It's A, B, and C. Oh, it's actually A, B, C, and D now. Ooh, I forgot about E. And so you realize these are much, much, much bigger, complex problems. And let me see if I can find the link, or Candy can find the link. But we actually sponsored a video along with I think it's like Petco and a lot of other brands about wild caught fish. And I think it's just called Wild Caught. Is that right? It's a 2-part series, and I want to say the whole thing's like 90 minutes. Aquarium. Let's see if I can find that. I know I've shared it on our Facebook page a couple of times, and I'm not spotting it right off the get-go. But we'll find it. We'll get it out there. Watching that, I think, starts to build some deeper comprehension of what's going on. It's not as simple as if you take them out of the environment, they'll never be there again, and you're a horrible person, because the people that are taking it out of the environment have to live. And to live, if you don't give them that job, they'll get another job. And another job might be cutting down the rainforest. And I've done some very controversial live streams and footage. Like one time when I came back from Peru, I showed you guys where they were burning down the rainforest. And that is literally what is happening when they can't just farm the fish out of there. And so something like Project Piaba and stuff, now they're not, and I'm not trying to make it sound bad, but no organization or no thing is completely right or wrong or any of that, right? Their main goal is to study what's going on in the populations of fish in the Amazon, and then also educate locals and basically be like, if you don't overfish, you'll have an income forever. And if you don't pollute the waters, you'll get better fishing going on. And this will support your families better. And this will happen. And so trying to educate and work with them so that they understand of how it could be a sustainable thing. And also I've shown you guys footage in the past of when I was in Peru, and it was illegal. And people were very angry, but people were early one morning we're fishing with dynamite, and so down the river you saw just hundreds and thousands of dead fish floating down the river. Now, what that tactic is, they do dynamite and all these fish float to the top and they net as much as they can. They feed their whole family and they sell the rest and whatever. And they're doing what they got to do to live. Horribly destructive on the ecosystem. So maybe if someone was to interject there and teach them like, hey, if you do this and this and this, you provide for your family, you get to eat, and we're not destroying the ecosystem. And so at the end of the day, there's always basic human needs of like protect your family, got to eat, got to have a roof over my head. And when you start messing with those, right, you mess with someone's income that usually provides those things, they're forced to do things they don't even want to do, but if your choice is to die, you will rather live. So a lot of complex issues when it comes to that, and my take is I don't think there's any specific one good way or bad way. We are, as a company, I am against, I would say, a lot of the wild-caught plants. Plants are fairly easy to propagate in a nursery environment. And B, I don't believe in just kind of pillaging the environment to get things like African fern. A lot of the buses are that way. Now, it's one thing to go, we collected 10 specimens, we're farming them, and we're supplying the world. That's awesome, right? There's another thing where it's like, wait, you're telling me that lawn over there is basically $100,000 if I just take it all and ship it around the world? And you start doing that monthly, and pretty soon you're going, but to grow all of that buse takes 22 years, and I'm taking that much out every month. And you realize we're pillaging. So when we learn about it, we try not to support any of that, and we try to buy it from, so like our buses that we do sell, when we sell them, they're nursery raised and not wild caught. And a lot of times you'll see big mats for sale, and they'll chop them up and stuff, kind of like wild corals they do that with. Not always is it sustainable. Now, that might be, I don't know all the details, but I know a lot of it isn't necessarily stable or sustainable. Let's see here. Any tips for keeping gobies, specific Brachygopicus xanthomelias? I'm going to see if I know that by another name. All the goby species, they've been really getting identified more and more and more over the last 10 years. Oh, yeah, it's like a bumblebee goby. Is this the freshwater version? Let me see. Freshwater swamps, streams, tributaries. Yeah, I think because there's two little bumblebee gobies. One does really well in fresh, and one needs brackish. And usually a little more muted color on the ones that do handle freshwater. And that's why you get like, they do fine in freshwater. But the reality is, like two sister species, one does well and one does not do well in freshwater. So to back up here. To expound on that question, now that I know what species we're talking about, keeping them with pea puffers. I've done pea puffers before, but not gobies. So I've seen it work, and it comes down to the, I think, temperament of the puffers and also how much food you're putting in. If you're putting a lot of bloodworms in and they're fat and lazy, it can work. I've also seen it where they're just picking at them all the time. And so in my store, I don't recommend it, as in, I'm not like, if they're like, what goes well with puffers? I say, puffers kind of do well with puffers. Do a tank of puffers if that's what you want to do. But if they, are like, could it work? Yes, it can, but what's your backup plan also? So when it's, once you identify it's not working, what's your plan? Are you going to bring them back to us? I've got 3 other aquariums, it won't be a problem. Great, that sounds great too. But just making sure they go into that purchase knowing, yep, you have a dog at home and you'd love to adopt this cat. Great. What's your plan, though, if your dog turns out to hate cats or that cat turns out to hate that dog? Well, in that case, my sister would love it. Or in that case, there's a 7-day return policy at the shelter. They keep all the money, but I can return it. You can find a different home. Or whatever your plan's going to be. Just know that it's not always, just like, I brought it home and it was a rainbow and it was perfect. It was magical and they baked me cookies. Not always the case. I've ever seen or interacted with flyer cichlids. They're a small Central American. I have some, but boy, there's not a lot of info. Flyer cichlids, huh? Let me see if I know them. I look. Flyer cichlid. Okay. It exists on the internet. I'm just waiting for it to load. I'm not sure I have. They kind of remind me of juvenile Central American cichlids anyway, like the kind of the bar patterning that never kind of color up, it looks like. But no, I don't really have any experience with them. By the way, this weekend, Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, Dean will be giving his talk. And, there's a rumor that we might forget to hit the members only button while he's giving that talk. So if you happen to show up during that time, I think there's a good chance you'll get to see Dean's talk. Now, if you show up late, as in 4 hours later, I'm sure we will have remembered to hit the members only button by then, and you'd have to pay the money and watch it. But there's a good chance you show up, we might forget to hit that button. Maybe. So maybe if you're not doing anything on Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, you can see a great talk by Dean, do a little bit of Q&A, and get a little glimpse of what it's like to be a part of the kind of the member club. Usually about 150 people are in the chat, chatting it up, asking questions, learning, and then referring back to that later. And or you can just become a member and you can watch all those talks anyway, and then after 5 years they'll send you a Yeti and you'll be the coolest person you know. That's kind of your choice, really. First time watching a live stream, even though I've seen them all? Is that like listening to your favorite band on CD or MP3 4 billion times and finally seeing them live? I don't know, it's still a live stream, so I guess it's not even live, really. Do I have an idea of how often the average customer buys a bottle of Easy Green? Mine has lasted me a long time, but I wonder if that's normal or if I'm an outlier. We have run data before, and it's all over the map. You know, like someone like Steenfod Aquatics uses a bottle a month. I use a bottle in like a week, right? We're not the average person, but it was kind of designed originally way back when I was inventing the dosage and that kind of stuff. It was meant to do a 55-gallon aquarium dosing once a week for about a year. Because I like that value for people. Now I believe it's twice as potent, so it would be 2 years if you only had one aquarium. And so if you're a person that's like, well, I've got a 10-gallon and a 29, it's going to last a real, real long time for you, which I think is a good thing. Bad for business, in which, we'd want you to buy that every day and use a ton of it and all of that. But better for the environment. One bottle lasts a couple of years. That's nice. And, the buying cycle can be really long. But that's why we send out emails and just make sure you're still doing okay. Like, you still doing all right? And the answer might be, I'm just using your Easy Green. It takes forever for me to go through a bottle. We understand that. I get it. And sometimes you got 20 aquariums, then you might move into an apartment, you got one aquarium, and then next year you got a fish room, and then, so everyone's got ebbs and flow to the hobby, but just depending on when we run the surveys, and right now, a lot of our data, in fact, I was having meetings today about that, a lot of our data is contaminated, I would say, because we ship retail partner stores, and so we do know the data that on average, a retail partner store, each orders 13 bottles of Easy Green. Now, in our minds, we're going, that seems real low, because we sell so much Easy Green. And there's some stores that order weekly, there's some stores that order every 3 months, but on average, it's 13 bottles. And it's like, okay, well, I think that metric's going to go up over time, because they will sell more locally, people will like it more locally, and maybe in 2 years, you see like, oh, on average, every order is 19 bottles or something. Well, we try and track that, but we need to start separating out that a little more to know, like, well, how's our marketing on Easy Green doing for our online sales and our retail store and for other stores worldwide, right? As we keep launching more and more, we want to know how we're doing. That's one of the ways to gauge whether we're doing the right stuff. Will you be coming back down to Florida and doing some more collecting trips with Ryan? I can't say one way or another. What does that mean? Nothing veiled or anything. I just, I don't have any trips planned, and I don't want to be like, yes, I will, or no, I won't, because I have no idea. I could easily say, yeah, probably. That sounds fun. I like doing that. But I could easily go a year. We got so much in the pipeline right now, just like personal life, business life, wanting to start hobbies, all that kind of stuff, that I don't know what I'm doing from day to day almost. I pretty much wake up and go, well, what do I have to do for work? Okay. And then I go, do I have any time left? And I go, nope. Okay, well, tomorrow maybe I have time. Like, I had dinner with Zenzo last night. Lots of meetings all day today, live stream. Tomorrow, Katie and I have a date night. And then Aqua Pros, DIY Aqua Pros, Mike, will be here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'll be, we'll be talking business. We'll maybe shooting some videos, just hanging out as friends also. And that's my week. And then Monday's back to meetings. And so that kind of just automatically puts me on that treadmill of like, yeah, okay, it's been a week, I guess. Okay, Monday, yep, got to work out. Then I got a meeting. Then I got this. Then I got this. Then I got this. And Tuesday's kind of like, okay, get online, get like posts ready and all that kind of stuff. Hang out on the forum and Facebook group, all that kind of a lighter work day. And I slot stuff in that I didn't plan. And Wednesday's back to, okay, work out again. And I got meetings, then hopefully live stream, that kind of stuff. They ran a little late. Some meetings, had lots of meetings, had to get it done. 5 gifted memberships. All right, aloha, babe, 14. Doing it up. Is the co-op going to be at Aquashella Daytona? No. Officially, no. I was flirting with the idea, but then my business partner got sick, and then by the time that ordeal had come to where I'm back home, like, yeah, now flights are expensive, and it's kind of not long enough time to advertise and all that. So I said, you know what? No, not doing it yet. I do want to though. There's always like every time I get some free time, like, but I could. That would be kind of fun just to show up. I'm like, no, I gotta focus. My big thing is still like focus on the fish room. I spent, a bunch of hours in there Tuesday working on stuff, and that was yesterday, right? Yeah, yesterday. So my goal is still, if I have free time, go play in the fish room. That's my goal. All right, it's getting warm up here. I'm in that weird phase. Today it was 68 degrees out, which makes it kind of warm up here, but also kind of cool downstairs, so the AC is not on. What are the requirements to work at the retail store? Anything specific? Normally I would say nothing specific, but now, as we've been growing as a company, I believe we have a whole job description written with tasks and other things, and we've got a way better kind of hiring department and practices and all of that. And so, yes, I'm sure there are things they're looking for specifically, but as with almost any job, do you fit in? Is your personality good? Will you make it to work on time? All of the things make sense? Do you know something about fish? We hire a lot of people that don't know. They're not experts with fish. Because most people never become an expert without working at a store. Just because, you can be like, I've kept fish for 12 years. Okay, great. You've had 2 aquariums for 12 years. Like, once you start taking care of hundreds of aquariums for 3 months, you rapidly outpace that normally. So there's always going to be a high learning curve. And even if you were, even Dean, let's say I hired Dean for the retail store, lots of learning. Why? You need to learn what are our practices. When fish come in, we do this. When this problem arises, you do this for the customer. When this happens, you do this. So even if you have lots of experience, not everything is directly applicable to the processes we do. And, sometimes it doesn't work out. People can be very hard-headed. This is a dumb system. The one we always run into is, I think it's such a dumb rule that if I'm filling a tank with a hose, I have to stand here and watch it fill. And I could almost bet the farm on it. Every new employee floods the store because it's a giant waste of time. It completely is. And eventually your brain starts going, yeah, but you could do this other thing over here, or help that customer, or do this thing. And at some point, it'll be, well, I was just doing this thing, but then my manager talked to me, or this customer sucked me in over here, and then I heard the water hitting the floor, and we go, and that's why that is the rule. We love to be efficient, we love to save money, we love to do all of these things. Why would we go out of our way to do this very inefficient task this way? Because we see it happen over and over and over and over again. And so that can be hard for some people. Some people just, they think they're better than that, and like, yeah, 99 times out of 100, I'm better than that. But the 1 out of 100, it's not fun when you're like, yep, I got to spend an extra 6 hours at work cleaning up water because it spread everywhere. Okie dokie. I live in Cookeville, Tennessee, and my RPP store said I don't get a 5% discount on your products. Is this true? Yeah. The stores get the option whether they want to honor the membership discount. I think it's in their best interest to. Because the way I explain it is, if you're already a member of us, like you're already a paying member, like you obviously know who we are and all of that. And if you could buy this heater, right? If you could buy this heater at 5% off from our website, or you can buy it at the retail store without the 5% discount, I think it sways it in our favor. And I don't want that, so I encourage them. I go, because I do think you're in a store and you go, hey, there's the thing I've been wanting. Oh, and I save the 5% just like I would online. You're more likely to give the money to the store. And then in which case the store gets half, we get half. I mean, it doesn't work out like that, but they get a share, we get a share. There's credit card fees, there's all these things, right? But at least they're making some money and we're making some money. That's a win-win. But if you go, oh, they're not offering the discount, I'll buy it online, well, that's just a win for us. Right? And so that's why we tell them we encourage you to, and we totally understand you don't have to. And I get it. Right? It is up to them. And they're all denoted on our website, by the way. You can see whether they offer a discount or not before you go, so that's a good thing. But I do think it's in their best interest, because humans are humans, and they go, I can get it for cheaper, or I could not. I'm going to get it for cheaper. Not always. Some people just go, I'll just pay it. Like, I would just pay it just because I like instant gratification and all of that. But if I was buying a lot, and that's what always hurts the most. Like, they're going to buy a ton. You want to offer them that discount, so they buy it all from you. But if it's just a one-off thing, like, maybe not. So, but I would still encourage you, in my opinion, a well-run local fish store, if you're enjoying them, try to buy what you can from them, even at an inflated price. That sounds weird, Cory. I do it every day. I could make a sandwich, but I might pay the sandwich shop to make me one. Why? Convenience. They have all the ingredients. Oh, maybe I only have bologna and turkey at my house, but it turns out I wanted roast beef, right? Same thing at the fish store. Like, why should they get more money? Well, because you can get it today, right? And they can answer your questions today. And if you have a problem, you can hand it back to them. And if they might be able to go, I saw you were about to buy this, but this is a better deal. They should be providing you all those values, in which case something like a 5% really wouldn't matter too much. That would be the hope. But when it's just random online, you can buy it from 50 different websites, then you're just going whoever's the cheapest. Or it's a product you're recurring buying, right? If you buy, the same chip every week, you're just buying it from whoever's cheapest. I get it. Thanks for keeping it real. Your video on keeping discus helped me out to take the plunge. Plant a tank with gravel and tap water. Shouldn't they be dead? Don't let the discus forum hear that, or the discus groups. Yep. They'll die. It's not true. The craziest thing is, in the wild, I heard that there's gravel as well. I think there's even fish poop in the wild, too. That's some crazy stuff. Let's see here. overfilling happens fast. Yeah, if you do it long enough, you'll learn that if you don't hear water, that's when the trouble starts. So you're filling a tank, you can hear the water going in, that's fine. Then you don't hear the water. And that's that, like, it completely just, you don't even know you have the water on anymore. And then you hear that dripping sound. And so you go from like, yep, steal my water change, to bliss, to never run so fast and jumped over stuff in your life. And it's so funny because you'll dang near like break your neck to turn that water off, but we're literally talking about like the smallest amount of water you're saving compared to the amount of bodily harm and stuff you could destroy in the fastest run across your house possible, when really another cup or two of water doesn't make a difference once you've already started overflowing. But universally, once water's hitting the floor, no one's just like, well, let's take a stroll and eventually I'll turn it off. Everyone goes into that fight or flight mode, and it's kind of just funny. My wife used to always kind of giggle and laugh at me when I would do it in our living room and stuff, and she'd be laughing initially, and then she'd calm down a little bit, and like, I'll get the towels, and we'd have to like stomp it out of the carpet and all of that, and it's a weird thing that it's a universal thing. Maybe there is someone out there, but I've never met someone that like, when the water's overflowing, casually like, well, I'm gonna get a sandwich and then I'm gonna go turn that off. It's always the breakneck pace to get to whatever room to turn that thing off. Let's see here. Shout out to Nolan's Aquarium in Santa Ana, the only co-op supplier in Orange County. Well, there you go. Let's see. All right, I'm not going to do all the shout-outs. Another shout-out to Cookeville, Tennessee, which I think Randy was out there on vacation and stuff, and I think he stopped in there this week. So whenever we're out of town, or not even out of town, but whenever we're driving by an RPP store, we try to stop in and just get feedback, listen. We're not a company that's like, well, it's been a quarter, we should go out and see them. But if we're driving by, like, why wouldn't you stop by? We're always hoping to learn stuff, whether it's about our products or what are they doing in the store, what looks cool. So I missed the co-op store videos and also the unboxing. Will we see more of that again soon? No. You'll see some store stuff, but the unboxings, they don't do a whole lot. So will you see it soon? Probably not. Will you see more eventually? Yes. But they're, in terms of like what YouTube, and when I say YouTube, what the viewers feel, it's just a filler video. And we got lots of filler videos, let's be real. But, going out of our way to film that, probably not. I'd be more likely to go film at a wholesaler or something like that and show you fish that way. Let's see. Trust me, I've been saving up for 2 years just to come to Washington and see the store. Well, let's hope it lives up to that kind of a hype train, because that's a tall bar to save up. Like because I own my store and I'm familiar with it, I think it's crazy when people travel and come see it. I totally get it when you're like, oh, my grandma lives next door. Like, sure. But there are people that like, oh, it's on my bucket list, I had to go. And I'm like, oof. I obviously I would never put my own store on the bucket list, but I always think about it going, okay. I understand if you want to see the Northwest and that kind of stuff too, which a lot of people don't get that, and I think the Northwest is amazing. I've traveled decently around the world, and it's one of my favorite places. That's why I live here. Let's see here. Is it better to use marine salt instead of Equilibrium in very soft water? Does it also add NaCl as well? NaCl is salt. So yes, marine salt will add some salinity. Is it better? I think I gotta go, well, in what context? I think right off the rip, I would say I think it's easier and I'm lazier, so yes for me, but not necessarily better. And I also think, some species are very sensitive, like dwarf egret catfish, crazy sensitive to salt. I think that's the most sensitive I've ever seen. And so I would say with them, no. But, if I was doing like the warehouse, if I had to do a bunch of buffering of the water and adding minerals, I would probably use marine salt because it's cheaper. When you think about it, you can get a whole 5-gallon bucket of basically minerals for a saltwater tank for like $50 to $80. You get a thing of equilibrium for like $20. So it just goes so much further. And so I typically take those savings when I can get them. I recently went to Bad Fish store in Florida. It was the best fish store I've ever been in. It's far away from me, but worth the drive. I'm glad I went after seeing them on the old co-op video. It's real interesting to me to hear you say the old co-op video, because in my mind that's real recent. That was like 2 years ago. The funny part, if you watch that video, I'm basically not in it. I was dying. I was so sick after the convention, and then I remember just I just gotta get on the plane and get home. Like, this is horrible. I was sweating so much, so hot. Felt like I was gonna die, just puke. Like, it was Florida because it's warm, but just shivering in the hotel all night, just not getting any sleep. Just oh gosh, just want to be home. And that's when I go, I'm never doing a convention again. Why'd I shake 7,000 people's hands? For sure I'm going to get sick. I did. But they did have rad sandwiches. We found a rad sandwich spot that we ate at every day down there. It was good. But Alexa at Badfish, I think she was the first store we reached out to for RPP. Originally, it was Twin City Guppies, but they're just friends. Kang's super nice guy, and Sai, his wife, we're friends and all of that anyway. They've been out here. We've gone to dinner and all that. They flew out to come hang out with us and stuff. And so, they were technically the first, but the first, these aren't people we already really know. Let's just start. I want to start with really small stores of, let's help the people that I think are probably having the hardest time. And it's really hard to be, oh, I'm just a person who owns a fish store, and that's it. Wow, that's a tough spot to be. I've been there. So, and when you're new, and they opened up during COVID, which I was wow, I don't know that I would have survived opening during COVID. Maybe I would have. Let's see. My son is 7. I'm always watching Cory in the truck, and he's in the back watching and wants to meet me. All right. Well, maybe you'll do the pilgrimage to the Aquariumcoop, especially when the expansion's open. Which I post a couple pictures in the Facebook group. We're getting down to, there's one wall that needs to be painted, and I think there's one more sanding coat of drywall on that wall. So we had to build that wall. So we need some paint. We need a few coats of stain on some of the counters that, they're kind of one of the last things. Once we get that done, then it's kind of flooring, and then just some doodads. We got to put the freezer in, we got to do a thing over here. We technically haven't installed CO2 yet for where the plant tanks are. So there's still some doodads and stuff to do, but we're not grinding on it every day or anything. So if we spent every day there, we could be done in a week or 10 days. Instead, it's more we'll spend a day or day and a half this week, and then a day next week, and because a lot of it, when it comes to staining and painting and stuff like that, you need dry times and stuff. And so each week we are pushing forward, and that's good. And when it opens up, it'll be rad. I'm so excited to have more space. We're so we brought in all this new rock and aquariums. There's nowhere to put them in that tiny store. And I say tiny store, it's 1,000 square feet. Still a small store, always been. It's always been a small store from my perspective, but it's always been profitable for us. And now we're going 3 times as big, and I hope it remains it's, 1,000 square feet for 10 years. Hopefully, the community will support us with 3,000 square feet for the next 10 years. And it wasn't like, nope, should have never got bigger, you fool. Let's see. I went to a bunch of different fish stores here in South Florida, and only Bad Fish store was actually felt like they were trying to build a community. Yeah, Florida's kind of weird in that there's a lot of like fish wholesalers / will sell to the public. Saltwater is kind of bigger than freshwater there. There's a lot of people you can just go catch fish out in the canals. So it's a weird thing to like. It should thrive, and yet it's almost harder there. So yeah, I'm not quite sure about all that. Man, it's getting darker. I'm gonna have to adjust my lighting. I'm like too like lit up. Now I'm way too dark. Actually, that's not bad. I kind of like that. I kind of like this. This is what it would be like if you were just in my office. What is glowing green on me? Oh, it's my sign. The sign back here. Lighting with cameras is such a pain in the butt. Like you wouldn't think like, oh, it's gonna tint your hair green, but everything, you know. If I ever have to launch Aquariumcoop 2.0, there's gonna be a lot of things. 1, don't call myself Aquarium Co-op. 2, don't make all your products green because I can't go in front of a green screen, and they make you look all weird whenever there's lighting around. There's all these little tips that I've learned of like, yeah, I would never do that again, but we're green and we'll always be green. Have I had red-eared sliders along with big fish like Oscars? No, I've only ever done fast fish. So with like Western painters and red-eared sliders, it's been things like Chinese algae eaters, rainbow fish, that kind of stuff. It might work out awesome. I've never tried with big fish also. So I don't have expertise in that. Do I know if purple jadestone that I found will be in stock this weekend? I believe it will be. To the best of my knowledge, there's been a post on Facebook. It's already in the store. To the best of my knowledge. What is RPP? That stands for the Retail Partner Program. It's kind of like a fancy way of saying we sell wholesale. But it's different in my opinion because we actually advertise the product. We actually try to support the stores, so we have programs to get our lights in there and our sponge filters, like for a store use program. And then we make things like the racks we talked about earlier, and there's a bulk size of Easy Green that makes sense for them. And we're trying to be more of partners instead of just a wholesaler buyer relationship, which that is most of what it is. But we want feedback. We want them to treat the customers right. We want to advertise them on the website. We want to call them out in live streams. We want to visit them. We want to do events there. We want to do all of these things. And it's been a learning process for us. You know, if we rewind a year and a half, we had one store like Bad Fish. Here we have 100. And we put the brakes going, whoa, okay, that's 100 stores. And, you know, we want to make sure we build out the infrastructure to handle 100 stores and make sure we really got that dialed in before we take on the next 100, right? We don't want to lose sight of why we started it. We don't want to get crushed under our own success or anything like that. We don't want to go, well, we're sold out online because we sold too many at the store and this and that. And so we're trying to make sure that we don't have negative experiences for our customers, both retail customers like most people in this chat, or our wholesale or RPP customers. And so being, you know, most companies don't do what we do, right? So they're not the advertisers. They're not the retailers. We have a retail store. We also are online retail. We also sell wholesale to other stores, right? And so it's really easy to screw that up because usually you're just focusing on one, and we're trying to put great people in charge of all of those things, right? And you know, hopefully make sure we got the support. And you know, an email comes into Candy like, well, are you talking about our retail store Are you talking about our online store? Are you talking about an RPP store? Are you talking about a live stream? Cory said that. Are you talking about when he was at the event? Like, we gotta, sometimes we gotta do a lot of sorting to be trying to get to where we're trying to go. But we want to make sure that doesn't just fall down on us. And so it'd be, be a bad story to be like, look how big, and then they crumbled under their own weight of, their giant head. Why would I name myself Aquarium Co-op? Mostly because no one knows how to spell it. Anyone who's not an Aquarius definitely doesn't. They have a hard time spelling aquarium. And then the co-op part, you always have to clarify C-O-O-P. We get mistaken for a co-op preschool daycare thing all the time. And then technically, by a lot of states, not ours at the time, we're not a co-op, as in we don't have 5 or more profit or 5 or more partners. And so at the time when I did it, didn't break any rules, and I can name myself Aquarium Co-op and all of that, and that was fine. But doing it again, I'd just be like, nah, it's Cory's Aquarium Emporium or whatever. I would just do something simple. And so, more simple. But at the time, when I was kind of crafting Aquarium Co-op, social media wasn't even, at most, it was paid Google and Facebook ads. That's what social media was. And so now we know that you can basically be anything. You can just be like, random name, that works. As long as you're doing good stuff, people don't care what your name is, really. Let's see. Any update to the root tab changes you mentioned in the past? Yeah, we're still waiting on the next version of samples. Talked about that in a meeting today. And we're going to test. We changed formula a little bit to make the machine work better. The only response I really have is sooner the better. That's all I keep telling people. It's let's get this going. We did lower the price of the bigger count of root tabs. If you guys noticed that, taking advantage, thank you. We appreciate you guys buying that. But we went from 25 to 18 or something, so we saved you quite a bit. And so we're hoping that with this next iteration, we might be able to shave off a little bit more money. Don't always know. When you start a project, maybe you guys won't know that because maybe you haven't done it, but when you start a project, you get promised all the puppies and the rainbows to begin with. And then as you're actually in production and making changes, somehow you get to the other side and you're like, you promised me a puppy and a rainbow, and I'm going to have to settle for a donut. I'd still like a donut, but that's not of the same magnitude. And so we might go, yeah, we're going to save so much money. We'll be able to make it cheaper for people and do all these things. But by the time you get to the point where you've actually done all the work and testing, and you're like, actually, I had to change this and this and this. We're only saving them 4%. Yeah. A fitness area for your current employees would be nice in the warehouse for health reasons, of course. You could have a few all-green fitness weights and cardio machines. I can guarantee that will never happen. That is the ultimate liability risk. Trying to have people working out with equipment, that is a nightmare scenario. So yeah, that won't be happening. Not out of I wouldn't do it, because I'd like to make it fun for my employees and all of that. But it'd be much better to be oh, we provide you a gym membership or something. Plus, we don't have the room right now. Right now, we're going to be taking out the pinball machines. Because one, people are kind of tired of playing that pinball machine and the NBA Jams machine we got going on there. Because they'd rather have more room to just stretch the legs even more in the employee break room. So it's got to get to a point. I'm going to bring it to my house for a while. And it worked really well when we had smaller crews. Yep. But now, not everyone wants to listen to the guy or girl playing pinball, and there's enough people on a busy day, or it's you can't get far enough away, and you're just hearing it, even when we got it turned down. Although I never get tired of NBA Jams. He's on fire! I could probably listen to that all day. All right. I worked at a place that had a workout room and nobody used it. I could see that. Even the... even if you didn't have all the liability parts of it, I could see that. Let's see here. What are the benefits of working for Aquarium Co-op? I would start with the pay. We start The lowest you can make at Aquariumcoop is $22.60 an hour, I think. And as long as you're a full-time employee, which we have mostly full-time employees, you get you get the first $1,000 of your health care paid for every month. And so that usually covers you, your spouse, and most of your first kid. So it's not like an 80-20 split or a 50-50 or anything like that. So if you're just a single person and you work for us, we just pay 100% of your health care. So that's pretty rad. There's long-term disability insurance, dental insurance, visitor insurance. We 401k match 3%. So you put 3% in, we'll put 3% of your paycheck in. We buy you shoes a couple times a year. We're also providing insoles for the shoes now. We provide clothing. You get a free drink from our different fridges and stuff every day. When you work for us, you get a 30% employee discount. There's the employee party. There's extra days off. I don't remember how many days it is now, but we just added, you get birthdays. And then I think it's after a year you get a week, and then I think at 5 years it's like 3 weeks or something. I don't even know off the top of my head. I look at it, we approve it, we massage it, we change it. Not change it, but we're always trying to kind of add stuff and go, what's more applicable? Let's see what else. Oh yeah, there's the employee of the month thing. So you can get a premium parking spot, and then usually you get like a gift card to Starbucks or something. What else? Probably a couple other like little perks. But that's probably most of it. I would say, obviously I'm biased, but I feel like a fairly decent work environment. We actually care, which, any of our ex-employees would be like, no, he doesn't. But, sometimes we have to tell people no because it doesn't make sense. Like I remember 2 requests we've said no to. We've said no to a lot of requests, but 2 that really stand out in my mind. One was the person wanted us to store a pair of fingernail clippers for every employee in the company at each location, so that if you were to get a hangnail while working, you could clip your fingernail. And I just said, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to store 32 pairs of fingernail clippers. You can have one in your car or on your person. We're not going to stop you from bringing them in or anything, but we're not supplying new ones and for every employee. We're just not doing that. And the other one was we needed to stock more ketchup, mustard, salt, and pepper. We already supply plates, knives, forks, coffee cups, fresh water, like as in filtered water. There's already a lot of stuff, but it reaches a threshold where it's like, it'd be really nice, this other thing where it's like, yeah, that's really... They started requesting like some Tabasco sauce for us to stock, and it's like, look, this is getting a little bit just out of control. Like we're nice up to a point, and then it's like, okay, that's... And we've tried things like, we tried offering snacks every day, but they're magically be like, we ate all those granola bars in a day and a half, huh? There was 200 granola bars. Like, I don't even want to go through the footage and see who stole a bunch of candy bars. So the answer now is just, we just don't have candy bars. Like, we didn't say specifically, we're going to fire you if you take more than one candy bar, but here it is, like, we're out of candy bars, and it's like, we should have had 80 left, we got none. What's going on out there? So, some of the other perks you get, some of our vendor partners will buy the different cruise lunches and that kind of stuff. So that's fun. Like Extreme has done that for us, and other companies as well. I think Fritz has done it, some other stuff. We've done it for other companies as well, some of our plant partners and that kind of stuff. Remote jobs are out there. That's true. We have we released a new handbook today, and one of the reasons was we have employees in 7 different states. So even though we only have like 31-ish employees, we have them in 7 different states. And so the handbook is like a phone book now, because whatever you say in one state, you basically have to regurgitate and change a word and a half to make it applicable to all these other state versions also. So so a lot of back end stuff gets spent on that, where it's like, okay, we're gonna update this, and we hired from here and here and here, and we got to make sure we look at the laws and make sure we're complying with them, and it's really weird. Like I think if you're in California, we've got some employees in California, and they actually get worse vacation policies than we naturally give, and it's like really hard to give it to them. And you're like, oh, you got to put it in the right thing. The hangnail request seems like they were trolling you, Cory. You would think that. Except, they had a sit-down meeting about it. So you would think, like, oh, yeah, they're joking. Not joking. We had an employee who left one time, and they were not happy with us. And they thought that from the date of hire, everyone should get at least 30 days of vacation to use. And there were lots of other demands as well. They printed them all out and left them all around the lunchroom and that kind of stuff. And, on one hand, everyone should get $1 million and never have to work. I get it. And on the other hand, it's like, I don't have that kind of money. Like, and they wanted, like, they ended up leaving because they prioritized other jobs and partying more than coming to work. But if you're working with us for 60 days, I don't think you should be able to take 30 of them off. Like, that just seems insane to me. So, it was 30 days, and then every year you worked an additional 7 days. And it's like, yeah, but we've got people who work for us like 6 years. Like, that's over 2 months off. Like, that's where, and maybe they're just trolling us. Sure. But that wasn't the first time we heard about it. They printed it out. They went in a blaze of glory, trying to cause this big upset. And even most employees were like, but that's not going to be sustainable. Like, we want to make sure we keep our jobs. Like, at the end of the day, there's so much money that comes in, and there's so much money that goes out to pay employees. If more money goes out than comes in, we don't do that very long until we go out of business. So, a single Oscar and 90 gallon, is that okay? I'd say that's okay. I think you're all right. How often is the Aquarium Co-op hiring in the retail store? Whenever we need someone. It's really hard to predict, because you could have someone that's like, oh yeah, my wife got a rad job, we're moving out of state. Like, oh no, awesome for you, but oh no, now we gotta hire someone. I would say not too often do we, like at the retail store, do we fire anybody. It's mostly they move on. We try to hire successful people, and they usually have successful partners, and they might have a rad opportunity somewhere that makes them want to do something. And so that happens a lot. At the warehouse, I'd say there's more turnover. And I think one of the biggest problems we have is that we pay, in my opinion, a good starting wage. So you could be 18, got out of high school yesterday, and you're walking into a job that's paying all these rad benefits plus $22.60 an hour. And on that day, you're going, oh, yes, I will love this job. Working in a warehouse will be amazing, because everything mostly on your plate before was like, ooh, $18, maybe up to 20 in these different places. And you're going, hey, an extra $250, that's a lot of money. And it is. But then after about 90 days, 6 months, a year, you're going, yeah, but it's boring. When you just, every day, just more packages, just more things. Like, yep, that's the job. We stress that very early, like, is this job going to be fulfilling enough? It's very boring. And we do things where we rotate your job. So there's 4 quarters in the work period. And oddly enough, there's even people that, like Candy's here, and there's other people that work in the warehouse and stuff in here. Like, we make attempts to break up the monotony. Like, okay, the first quarter, you're on plant duty. The second quarter, you're on packing the things that come down the conveyor belt. The third quarter, you're on picking items that would then go onto the conveyor belt. Fourth quarter, you're on cleanup. You're helping with recycling and garbage cans and this. And so we're trying to do everything so it's not just repetitive. And it's two reasons why. One, making a person do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, you get sloppier. That's just a human trait. But two, you don't stay engaged, not as fun. So we also let people listen to like podcasts and stuff. They're allowed to have like one earbud in while they're doing it. That kind of stuff. We try to make it as fun, but there's people that just aren't cut out for it. They want to stand and talk, or they want to interface with the public, And that's, being at the retail store, your interface with the public is way different than no public. So, yeah, it's just different jobs. So I'd say we have higher turnover there. Does Aquarium Co-op give paid time off? Yeah, we do. Yep. I want to say legally we have to give 1 hour of paid time off per 40 hours worked. I believe we give 1 hour off for every, it's either 23 or 26 hours worked. I can't remember exactly what it is off the top of my head. And we used to give it so that it was just PTO. Spend it how you want. Are you sick? Do you want a super long vacation? We don't care. And then part of that, like people wanting more time off, they were like, it's not fair. You just give us I just get 14 days PTO. And I don't get any sick days. And it's like, those are the sick days. And so they fought us so much, they're like, okay, we're going to do what you want. You now get 7 sick days and 7 PTO days. And they're like, I can't take a 2-week vacation now? Like, no, you just fought for the sick days. Like, we were letting you manage it however you like, but you can't. So that's a problem. Which it's unfortunate we have to step in and prevent people from doing that. There'd be people all the time, they'd be like, ooh, sweet, I'm going to spend all my vacation. It's like, yeah, but you realize you have to go like 5 months without missing a day now, right? Like that's not wise. And then they'd be all, Pikachu faced when 4 months later they have to miss a day and we're like, I guess we got to write you up. Like, that was a bad idea. So now they have sick days and they have vacation days, and that's just the way it's got to be. So if you want a 2-week vacation, you get 7 days, then request the other 7 days unpaid, and then you'll still have some sick days. Because even though you never get sick, like, well, yes, apparently you got the flu and it's been 10 years, that's just called bad planning. People are their own worst enemy? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I get it. In the moment, this vacation's going to be rad. And then you realize, but now you got to go a long time without missing a day. And, the employees would come and it's like, but it's my mom's birthday. It's this, it's that, it's this. And all we can say is like, yes, but we need you that day. If we don't need you, usually we'll let you take the day unpaid off. But it's definitely like, it's Monday morning. Like, you got to be here. This is a go time for us. So, yeah. What's the average percentage of profit Aquarium Co-op makes off a fish? Pretty low. By the time you factor in employees, the minimum employee making $22.60 an hour. So the numbers we've run on average, they're 1 customer per 15 minutes. And you'll get people that like, oh, I just needed my water tested and this going on and that going on. And if you're lucky, they'll buy, like, oh, okay, they bought 3 black neon tetras. So they spent $6 at 15 minutes, right? And we know that if we're paying you $22.60, your effective wage, so that's just fancy terms for how much does it cost the company? About $30. So we know that 15 minutes, 1/4 of an hour, divide $30, right? So now you're going to go, okay, well that's, 3 times 8, 9, like $9.50. So we just paid an employee and the government and all that kind of stuff, and they're, the time off and all that. We just paid $9.50 for an employee to sell $6 in fish. So our profit percentage there is like, negative $3. Now the hope is obviously like, oh, they buy a tank and they buy this and they buy that and they buy this, they spend $100. Now all of a sudden that starts working. And as long as we stay busy all the time, right, there's always a customer in front of the employee and they're making us money and they never need to take lunch and they never get sick and they never do anything and the fish never get sick. Cory gets insanely rich. And then there's the Wednesday nights at Aquarium Co-op where it's kind of rainy and crappy out and we close in 8 minutes and Brandon's store manager's hanging out in here because it's probably decently slow at the store. And everyone's still getting paid. We're taking care of the animals. We're feeding. We're prepping for tomorrow. And there's no profit being made. So when it's good, it's great. And when it's bad, it's horrible. I remember there was 1 month in June, a bunch of years ago, where myself and my employee, I worked like a dog because I didn't have online stuff or anything, so I was working at least 80 hours a week in the store. I worked every day. And after the entire month of doing all that work, I had lost a few $1,000s. So the profit, none. Lost money. So good learning lesson to go, okay, we need to make sure that doesn't happen, because that happening a couple more times will put us out of business. So then we'd much rather have longer lines and a leaner crew and a smaller store and all of those to make sure that we don't get in that position. Because, like someone says right here, I love the customer service. They always answer so fast. We want to make sure we have knowledgeable people, and to have knowledgeable people, a flight has hit me in the head. To have knowledgeable people takes money. And there's competitor stores where all they do is hire. They basically will only hire high school females. That's all they will do. And they will pay them whatever basically minimum wage is. And the turnover is crazy high there. And they don't have the answers you're seeking when you're like, my fish is having a problem. We don't want to be that. We want it so that people can make some money, they can live a life, they can enjoy fish, all of those things. They can move up in the company. That's something I think we've done really well, which I kind of thought at the beginning, the promote from within thing, way at the beginning, I was like, it's kind of BS. Sure, you can become a manager, I guess, if I quit or I move on. But now that our company's gotten 30-some deep, there is a lot of promotion from within. It's like, oh, you were just entry level. Now you're like a middle manager. Now you're an actual manager. Now you can even move up even higher than that. So that's been nice to see happen. I miss Jimmy's energy. I hope he's doing well and he's happy. Yeah. From his Instagram, he just bought another car. So he's got a Supra and now he's got his Prius. And also from his Instagram, looks like he was hanging out with Serpa working for Fritz. But I think Fritz is at Serpa Designs studio. So I'm guessing they'll be putting out a video of that at some point. Yeah, Jimmy's kind of been flying all around doing all the Fritzy stuff. So yeah, hope he is doing well. Does the sick and vacation time stack up if you do use any in the year? I think you meant if you don't. Yeah, there's a certain amount that can be carried over. Yep. Is vacation paid like you're working, or is it just not paid at all? No, vacation time is paid. So if you take a week off, you get paid the same as if you were there working. So that's why it costs money. It's one thing just to be like, yeah, you don't have to come to work tomorrow, we don't pay you. It's another thing when it's like, yeah, you don't have to come into work this week, and we're still going to pay you, and still health insurance, and still 401k, and yeah. So it takes a lot of, there's a big, with the company, there's a big two-way trust street. We're going to give you this pile of money and the support, and we're going to hope that you don't leave us high and dry. Meaning that, there's days where, I remember a few Saturdays ago, 5 Saturdays ago, we had 6 people scheduled to work and only 2 showed up. It's times like that where it's like, are all of you actually that sick, or can one of you make it in? So it's 3 people running the store instead of 2. We overstaff to try and prevent that, but then, sometimes stuff just aligns, and nothing you can do about it. Took my first vacation in 22 years. You beat me. I only went 6 years out of vacation. Let's see. I disagree totally. Just sent me some lame email about them changing their carrier. I don't know. I don't know what that pertains to. Are you saying us? Yeah, we ship UPS instead of USPS. Is that lame? Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's see. What fish or product is Aquariumcoop's biggest seller? What is the main source of money? Me. And what that means is if I don't get on here and live stream or shoot videos, we just don't make money. Which I wish it was not that way, because it's a lot easier to not be bound to the camera. But the biggest sellers would be Easy Green and sponge filters. Yeah. But what is the main source of money? That's real hard, because there's so many things that play with each other that it's, yeah. You'd have to factor in, like, well, how much money goes into making this thing happen versus the money that comes out of that thing. So there's retail store, there's the RPP program, there's the online sales, there's the media team. I think that's the main 4 we run. We're kind of compartmentalizing. But when you take a salary from someone who's like a graphic designer and they're making graphics on YouTube, they're making packaging art, they're making signs in the store, they're making email graphics, where do you put their salary? Like, yeah, you could divvy it up a bunch and try, but that's a lot of work. So, you gotta go, well, yeah, how profitable is that thing? Like, if that person's 100K salary goes over here, that loses us money. If it goes over there, okay, we're making a lot of money over here. So yeah, you could say that, customer service might be a great example. Candy's salary, right, which is 2 Girl Scout mint cookies and a glass of milk per month. That's what she charges us. She gets normal money. But would you categorize that cost when someone just goes, hey, 4 years ago in a video, Cory said a thing about a thing. Could you find that for me? Happens 10 times a day, right? That email literally comes across 10 times a day. And she'll go find it. And then they may, a lot of those people never buy anything. Like, it's a DIY thing. So, like, would you run that against, like, is that the YouTube cost? Is that customer service? Because a lot of it is normal customer service. Yeah. All of our stuff is real intertwined. Yeah, you got to pay someone to come in and fill for the vacation person? Yeah, there's that too. Definitely. Like, I mean, as a employer, it is so hard to swallow the vacation money. I totally want people to relax. I want all of those things. It's just really hard when you have a bunch of people on vacation and life is hard for everybody else and they're crabby because of it. And you're just going, wow, this is rough. And it compounds, right? You could have 1 or 2 people out on vacation. You could have another person out sick. You could have another person out on like they got hurt and they're on disability. You could have another person, like something else is going on. You could be like, we're down 5 people. And you're not, you can't really just hire more people. You can't get them trained up. It is what it is. And then they all come back and you go, oh yes, it's so nice when everyone just comes to work and we get our job done. Great. People prefer that. Me too. My chat jammed up. All jammed. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's just... No, it caught back up. All right. Does Aquariumcoop pay overtime? Is it double or time and a half? I think it's just time and a half. Yep, we do. Lots of people get overtime. Not tons of overtime, but there's plenty of opportunities for it. And it's not like, not people aren't working 60 hours but a week, but a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, I got 42 this week, because let's say a fish shipment comes in late, or a customer keeps you late, or someone call out sick, you're working an extra shift. Yeah, I don't do the games that corporate America does, where it's like, well, if you only give them 23 hours, you'll never have to give them insurance, and they'll always be able to pick up 2 or 3 shifts and never run to overtime. They'll also never be able to have a life worth living and all of that. We pay our people 40 hours. Like, it's there if you want it. We get it to you. Even if we don't have enough money coming in, we get it to you. Our employees trust us to pay them. We trust them to show up for work. That's the relationship. We'll offer them they can go home early if we are overstaffed. We do as much as we can to be accommodating, but we also, work got to get done. So, does Aquariumcoop have their own factory overseas, or do they order from overseas factories? Will you ever offer canister filters? We do not own any factories. Will we ever do canister filters? Maybe. It's not on my short list. Yeah, a factory, like owning a factory would be like owning this whole thing we own right now. So it's kind of like so we have 31 employees. A factory might have 700 employees and be worth 1.7 billion or something. Some crazy amount of money on some of these things, especially stuff that's working with like microchips and that kind of stuff. And so we are, we're the speck of dust in the carpet, and they're the the refrigerator in terms of size, huge, right? So maybe someday we'll be big, but yeah, I'm not counting on it. Is Irene okay? Just saw on YouTube she's having some health issues. Sending prayers and love her way. As far as I know, I haven't spoken with her directly. I did speak with some people in my company, and yeah, I'm not going to say any more on it because I'm their employer. It's not my place to say. But yes, Irene, to the best of my knowledge, doing okay. No problems with her doing her work and all of that here. So if she chooses to share anything else, she will do that. But it's not my place to share anything. How often do online customers come visit the retail store in person? I don't have that metric. I would say maybe 10% of the people do. Yeah. There's people that never shop online, always shop in the store. If you live next door, that'd be the case. And there's some people that are like, oh, they live 40 minutes away. They're buying fish, they go in. If they're like, I just need food and this and that, sometimes they'll ship it to them, especially because it's free shipping and it ships real quick and fast. Let's see. And maybe, Candy's saying we've had a lot of customers that drive and fly there. Yeah, there is a lot. In my mind, I was thinking more of like people living in Washington, how many will drive in every time versus ship. Yeah, there's a whole country. There's even people from around the world flying in, so. Do I carry any CJ products? No, I couldn't nope any harder. I even bought some CJ products to use in my warehouse, and guess what? They sucked. And they're sitting in a box not being used. I think it was about $800 in pumps. So even, because they were the only pump that was at a variable speed at the gallon per hour that I could find in existence. And then they let me down still. So it's like one of those like, man. Even when I tried the second chance, like no. And the reason being, CJ burned me bad when I was just a little guy, when I was a nobody. I wanted to sell canister filters and their shark filters and all this stuff. And their shark filters, the magnets were rusting. And the canister filters had sat in warehouses so long that the seals didn't work anymore. And when that happened to my customers and it was flooding their houses, I had to just refund their money and eat it all because they said, well, we'll get you new O-rings. Took like 18 months. That wasn't good. And so I was out all this money, which was devastating when I was a young business. And it was way before like Jay Wilson, who's a good guy, works there and all of that. But yeah, so that's why it's like my answer to CJ is always going to be nope. Like if you wouldn't stand behind me back then, even if you'd stand behind me now, I fight for the little guy. And you wouldn't stand behind me back then and help me out, so I'm not going to help you out today. Let's see here. Yeah, Shrimp Sanctuary has been to our retail store. By the way, Shrimp Sanctuary, I forgot I haven't ordered your stuff yet. I hope I'm not on that deadline. Because I know there's like someone's going to forward that to you. So it's in my radar, just haven't done it yet. Can I give my thoughts on using coarse sponge filters on a breeding tank? Have I ever noticed any baby shrimp losses? Nope. I've always used coarse sponge filters. I've always made 1 billion shrimp, and I've never not made a bunch. So for me, I'm not so worried about losing one shrimp. So when I have a tank that's like, this tank makes 172 shrimp a month, I'm not devastated when I'm like, oh my god, one of the baby shrimps this big made it into a filter or something. It's like, yeah, it's probably just got 600 shrimp in there. Gonna happen. And in fact, a lot of the core sponges are such good habitats that allows me to keep fish with them, and now I breed both, and I get better out of it, I think. So, what about the airlifters? Get to the chopper. From what I heard today in a meeting, still looks like maybe, if we're lucky, end of November, early December. I don't think they've boarded the boat yet, so we're at the mercy a bit of shipping schedules and all that. So there's always give or take on a period of time. But I think we ordered of the kits. I think we ordered 60,000 of them. That's a big number. Yeah. So we should have some for you. Now, if we sell out of that one, I'll be real impressed. 60,000 is a monumental number. I do think people will buy a lot of them because I priced them cheap, in my opinion. And there's lots of people that I have 40 of these sponge filters in my fish room. They literally might order 40. So there's going to be some very big orders and stuff too. But 60,000 is a big number though. So I'd be shocked to really burn through those. Let's see. I should make a swag item or sticker with our trout goodieads and have it say, what's goodiead? I would, and I think that's clever, but I believe that's already been done. I think Ryan at Wild Fish Tanks has something like that already. I think it's a clever shirt. I'm not saying I could never do anything like that, but definitely with his still being in print and all of that, I would encourage you, if you think that's a good shirt idea, go buy his and support that guy. And maybe if in 10 years you can never get that shirt, no one's making it, and I think it's hilarious, maybe we'll do it. Who knows? But I try not to take away from people that are doing a thing, especially if that's like their main thing. Which, by the way, I still think my favorite shirt I think I've seen from his lately is like the Master Dojo load shirt. I just think it's hilarious. I literally brought it up in a meeting and I was like, why don't we have people that come up with that Dojo load shirt? That thing is awesome. I haven't bought one yet, but that's just me. Is my business partner doing better? Yeah. The hope is next week he can come off the IV drip antibiotics. He's been on those for like 3 months now. He's still got a lot of, a lot to go. If all of the infection is completely gone, they can put his skull back together and that kind of stuff. So he's still, got a lot to go. But as far as I know, when I talk to him, he's still doing pretty good and all of that. So it's just, a lot of sitting at home because you can't be really very active, or you don't want to be, because anytime he stands up, he has to be wearing a helmet. Because if there's brain right here and you lean down, you hit yourself on this microphone and lights out, not a good place to be. So yeah. See, there you go, Legion Aquatic. He says, wow, he's got a lot of cool shirts. That's right. Ryan's got a lot of cool shirts. So wildfishtanks.com, is that what it is? Let me see. Wildfishtanks.com. That is it. Yep. You can go there and you can look at his shirts. He'll sell some fish and stuff too, but I think it's the shirts and the hats that I think kind of set him apart. Oh, my wife's telling me there's some background noise every time I'm done talking. It's probably the fan. It's making a little bit of a sound as it rotates. What about those Shrimp Rancher shirts? We had those a super long time ago. I think someone else started doing them. I feel like I've seen them since. And I didn't invent that Shrimp Rancher shirt, by the way. It was Shango and Grace, who were some local shrimp breeders here, did them for a long time. I ended up buying all their inventory way when I was a new store. We sold them in the store, and then we ended up, it was one of the first few items we sold online. And we're getting towards that 2 hour mark, and my voice is starting to go, hey, you're not doing so hot. I know you only sell your products to retail brick and mortar fish stores, but for someone who has a fish store out of their garage, in my area, the laws allow me to run a business out of a garage. Nope, we don't do it. Why not, Cory? That seems... Because we have to draw the line somewhere. Because if we start doing it to garages, then whatever the next one will just be like, now it's my basement, now it's my thing, now it's my thing. And you have to draw a line somewhere, and that's where we've drawn the line. So you might have the world's coolest garage fish store, and it's awesome and all of that, but we're looking for a certain level of product you can move, support you can offer, and all of that. And yeah, we're just not doing that. All right. Does Easy Green have an expiration date? Not really. Officially, I think it's 2 years. Yeah, we need more of the Got Snail shirt. I don't even have any. I don't think. My wife might have one still. Business partner has some. They were the co-op green, and they had so I don't know if I've told that story in a long time. So the first shirt we ever did, our neighbor at the store used to be tattoo artists, very skilled people, and I think I paid one. I think it was an apprentice actually. I paid an apprentice over there $100, I think, to draw Murphy, and we turned Murphy, or not Murphy, has Hank at the time actually, turned Hank, digitized it, and made just a black and green shirt. And that was the first one we'd ever done. Didn't do huge print runs or anything on it. Yeah, and it just said "Got Snails." I don't even think it said Aquariumcoop on it. It might not even say Aquariumcoop. I think it just says "Got Snails." But yeah, we need the I needed a shirt that I would wear at the store and that kind of stuff, and that was that version. All right. Best way to cure velvet? I don't know. I'm not very good at it. Turning the light out and hoping. That's my way. Yeah, there's also the windbreaker like test prototype Aquariumcoop jacket. There's a lot of cool stuff. I kind of want to. So one of the things I want to do at some point when we're a little less crazy business wise, I want to make like 100 mystery boxes and put all that kind of stuff, prototypes. Like I know I've got a few extra the Enjoy Nature Daily blankets, different print runs and swag and just one-ofs and just like line up 100 boxes and like just add stuff, take Polaroids, sign them, add that, do scratch and dent stuff, like this person gets a light, this is this, and just make 100 boxes that are all random and mystery, and then sell them on the website and be like, yep, each box is $50, and I'll guarantee that whatever's in that box when it was new or whatever would have cost you way more than $50. And I just think that would be a fun thing to do, but I haven't done it yet. I keep kind of just putting stuff off and going, yeah, we could put that in there and that and that. And maybe it would be some of the, like Aquariumcoop badges that we get from events, and there's all kinds of stuff that we end up just having kind of all around. And I don't need it all. That's part of the problem. It's like, okay, this is getting to be like a lot of stuff. My wife collects it all, but even that, it's like, well, we don't need 20 of those. So we could give back some. Well, not giving back. We could sell some, really. Because not giving back is you're buying it. I'm looking to cap the gravel on one of my tanks. What do you do about small plants in the gravel? Let me read that again. I'm looking to cap the gravel on my tanks. What do you do about small plants in the gravel? Are you meaning change the gravel? Normally you would cap like dirt or something and not gravel. Gravel is usually the cap. Cap the gravel. Either way, for small plants, you just got to pick them up and replant them. Or find a different method, I guess. Normally, you don't cap stuff after you've already planted it. Let's see here. Man, YouTube, get out of here. Want me to input so many ads on this stuff? Oh, Chris, yeah, please do this amazing Christmas present idea. That might be, maybe I'll try and make that happen. Because I could probably get so many cool things. I could ask people to sign stuff. I could get some like original art from like Chris Lukup, and maybe I can get Oliver Knott to send something, and maybe like something cool out of Dean's Fish Room, and just take a couple pictures like this is going, like a supersized Willy Wonka, golden ticket type of thing of like, yeah, everybody's getting one of these. Everybody's getting one of these, but we only got 2 of those and 1 of these, and we only ever got 1 of that and this. And, there's different hats and all kinds of stuff that just, they send them out. We kind of try them out and go, okay, well. Cory just said Polaroids. You laugh. I made that my new hobby. I actually bought a printer. So originally I was going to do Polaroids, but Polaroids are apparently over $1 per picture. And I was like, not doing that. But I bought a printer so that I could print Polaroid-esque pictures real time. Because I personally believe it's a lost art form that doesn't exist anymore. Like, when's the last time you actually held pictures outside of, like, my kids went to school and they got pictures taken? So I've been wanting to kind of hopefully bring that to some events and stuff, too. Like, let's take a picture, we can sign it, like, we can do all that real time. And if it's portable, it's got a battery and everything. And so I could do it where I go to a store and visit and make, I think it's one thing to like take a picture and it goes on social media and it gets lost in the spam. It's another thing to be like, here's a printed picture and you like stick it up in your fish room and it gets covered in spider webs and crusty, and 40 years later it's still there. So, that's one of the new hobbies so when I was saying I want to do some hobbies, one of my hobbies that I want to kind of start, I actually have printed 2 pictures so far, is taking pictures with the intent of printing them. And so I took a picture last Saturday and I printed it Saturday. And now it's a physical thing. I've made a physical thing in the world that's custom. Instead of like I took a picture and shared it online, make it be a physical thing that gets to live somewhere. So that's my new hobby. I want to do that. I'm an artist. Is there an email I can send images and designs to you guys? Yep, you can send them to shipping@aquariumcoop.com and be ready for us to give you the ultimate disappointment. If you expect us to hate your work, then you won't be disappointed when we're like, oh, this is really nice. We'd love to work with you. But we get so much stuff and maybe it doesn't meet our, like we have a different style or we're looking for something. And it always feels real bad when someone has put a lot of effort into something and then we have to say, no, thank you. At least it tears me up. I'm sure it does customer service too, but it's like, I know you tried really hard, but the answer is, nah, we don't really need that. Sorry. And so, yeah. So my answer is, you can send it to us, but don't be devastated when I go, no. And I probably won't even see it. Let's be honest. Someone will make that decision before it gets to me. By the time it's getting to me, like we're pretty serious, like, hey, we should do this. So most likely someone in the chain will be like, no, that's not, we know we don't need that right now. Where did you get your picture printed? I printed it myself with my own photo printer. Yeah, the Duke, you'll be devastated to hear my 3D printer is still sitting brand new in the box. It's sitting behind my couch, and I walk by it every day going, really need to learn how to set that up and calibrate it, and we'll use this thing. And then I go about my day, and it's been another year, and yeah, one day I'll actually learn to use that thing. Let's see here. I'm having trouble keeping Malaysian trumpet snails and shrimp. The only snail that seems to thrive is ram's horn. My tap water is very soft, but I buffer with crushed coral and equilibrium. Mmm. Maybe all the food's getting eaten up because Malaysian drum snails like to be nocturnal, so maybe there's not enough food left around at night for them. Usually, I find Malaysian drum snails to be very adaptable and hardy, though. So it's a little bit of a head scratcher that you'd be like. I could understand if you had ram's horns not making it, but the Malaysian drum snails were. Let's see. Hello, Milton 1092. If I have physical gifts I want to send Cory and the co-op team, is there an address I can send it to? Yes. You can always send it to our retail store. Someone there will open it up and go, what is this? If you have a little note that says, get this to Cory, or enjoy retail store, or enjoy, or all the employees should share it. We get cool candy from around the world. We get, is it my favorite gift? I don't know. One of my favorite gifts. It's on my couch. No, that's not true. It's not on my couch at this exact moment. But one of my favorite gifts was a discus and a goldfish quilt that I super duper love, because that was made with someone's hard-earned energy. Like, they got to make it. So yeah, a lot of stuff gets put up on the shelf and that kind of stuff, and I love it. So almost all of that will filter to me. I say almost all of it does. There's not. I mean, I guess for all I know, all my employees steal all my stuff, but I think all of it makes it to me. So it just gets. The one thing I will warn you about: sometimes you'll be like, I sent a thing. What does Cory think? You might not get a response, or like, no. Sometimes it might take a couple of months. Like, it's not a priority. Like, run that to Cory's house now. It's like, yeah, put that over here, and Cory will pick it up next time he comes by, or the next time we got to send something over there, we'll move it. Yeah. Do I have a suggestion on a 75-gallon aquarium stand that isn't DIY? I do. You buy one. Let's go buy one. No, unfortunately, I don't have. You can make it out of cinder blocks and wood. You can make one out of wood. You can buy one out of wood. You can buy. But the reality is, really, I have two choices: making one and buying one. And I think the answer is you buy one for the most part. Let's see here. Yeah, that quilt was watched yesterday. Yeah, because we had that quilt out from a fan, but I know it got washed because, yeah, we keep different blankets and quilts. One, like in the recliners that we have, and then also with the dogs, so that there's at least a layer of protection on the couch, and we can wash them. Why does Big Rich at Ohio Fish Rescue keep dissing me? They're so weird and negative. I have no idea. I don't watch any of their stuff, so I don't know. Maybe I'm getting dissed on. I don't even know. That'll sound weird, but I kind of just have removed myself from the whole YouTube scene. And at least in my mind, I've realized the only things that matter to me are my fans, customers, my family, my employees, like the people I can actually interact with. That matters. Whereas, the egos and all the other stuff that could be around YouTube, I'm like, I just don't have time in life for that. Like, I don't have time to be irritated or angry at somebody. Not that they don't. Someone can get on my nerves, but I'm evolving to go, why would I subject myself to that? I could just go do something else. There's so many things I want to do. I want to go take a picture and print it. I can do that. Or I can, look into something I don't really care about. So, yeah, if they are, hey, it's a free country. They can do what they want, I guess. I'm going to keep just hanging out and doing what I want to do, which I'm sure in its own right makes someone irritated that I'm not, he didn't take the bait. He's not angry. Oh, no. Meanwhile, I'll pet the dog and look at a fish. Let's see here. I joined the exec of my club. Is that like the board? Any suggestions for things to do to get people to show up to meetings? Yeah, so one of the things, if you have any influencers in the area, try to get them on board. that's what got me to the meeting. Our board and our friends said, "Hey, would you mind sharing this meeting?" And I was like, "Well, I was actually already planning to go anyway, but I was like, yes, and I'll try to get people to come with me. That'll be fun." And then so you could utilize that if you have a local resource. And then two, try to do things like fish of the month, where you might go buy some fish from a local store, hopefully one supporting your club, and then you not raffle it off, but like they're basically giving away to members. And usually, like when they ask our we just give them the fish. Like, here, you can have these. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Or steep discount. Sometimes like, well, we want to pay or half off or whatever, right? But the more kind of free stuff, and I think the honest thing that keeps a club going is the auctions, not the speakers. The speakers are awesome, and I love them, but a good auction will keep people coming whether they care about the talk or not. Whereas people only go to a talk if the talk is really something they care about. But if it's a saltwater talk, I don't go. But if there's stuff in the auction I want to buy, I will sit through a saltwater talk to buy the stuff at the auction. So, and that's a lot of chicken and the egg. Like, well, if your club doesn't have many people, the auction's not that great. So you got to work on building it. But yeah, if you can, like if you had a dean in your club and you go, "Hey, Dean, I know you breed a lot of fish. Could you start bringing them to the meetings and selling them? I know they're going to go for less than you can get at a fish store, but it would really help the club, and hopefully in a few years' time, it'll be big enough where, you're getting good money, and we're getting good speakers, you're getting the knowledge." And so like each person can kind of donate in their own way, whether it's resources of money or fish or time or advertising or logo design or t-shirt design or baking. Like a lot of times Katie will send me with like a tray of brownies or something when I go, and if everybody gets the mentality of like, well, what are you bringing, right? So I think at this last one we donated like a heater and a hoodie and some other stuff, and I bought some stuff for my own fish room. We actually didn't take brownies on that one because I hadn't been in like 3 or 4 years, and so I was like, I don't even know if they're doing food because of the COVID thing. Like, I'm not sure. And so if everyone, kind of does their part and their little specialty, like part of the time in the club, I used to run the breeder program and fish of the month program, and so at different times you do different things. And if you get enough people doing the different things, you now, like, out of 10 different people, someone might be going, "I love the speaker. I love the auctions. I'm just here to hopefully win the fish of the month. I live next door, so I had nothing better to do." And the more you get different things going, the more people connect and be like, "Oh, okay, we'll do that." Let's see. Will we ever get 150-watt co-op heaters or the titanium type? No. Never. I can't say never. That's a bad thing to say, but I literally watched someone in the group recommending someone buy a 1,000-watt heater, and I was like, "You're dumb." Like, and I mean that like the same. I would say the same thing. Like, "Oh yeah, so you're looking for a car that can go to the grocery store. Oh, you should buy a Ferrari. Oh yeah, that makes sense. You're dumb." And a 1,000-watt heater is so, from my experience of thus far in my career, is so overkill. Even for like outdoor scenarios, it's like, yikes. Yeah, so I would much rather use an amount of 100-watt heaters than something that's way bigger. I realize everyone's going to be like, "Oh, this guy's wrong." That's fine. I don't care. I don't care if you use 1,000-watt. I don't care if you buy someone else's heater. If you want a heater that's going to be reliable with a guarantee behind it and continually evolving to get better, that'll be us. You need a 1,000-watt heater. Don't get me wrong. China's all about it. 5,000-watt heaters. They got everything. Bigger, better. I just don't like. I don't think bigger is better in that scenario, because when it does fail, and all heaters eventually fail, you don't want 1,000 watts of cooking power. You'd much rather have 100 or 200 watts. I will say there is a new CJ product that I was like, "Ooh, that's interesting." And then I was kind of like, "Oh, that's dumb." But I haven't played with it yet, so it still could be awesome. CJ has a heater that uses like the chip technology with your phone that allows you to like set the temperature and stuff. And I was like, ooh, that sounds pretty cool. And then I think, don't you have to take it out of the water to use it? So I was like, okay, that's not so cool anymore. But I like that they're playing with some of the technologies and stuff. And, the more that gets refined by different companies, which means eventually I'll be able to go to a company and be like, oh, you guys make 11 different Wi-Fi heaters? Great. I want to make one, but I want to fix all the stuff that's real apparent and wrong with all these other ones, and that'll make me look good. And that's what I'll do someday. It's like, oh yeah, I love the technology, but why isn't it doing X, Y, and Z, and this thing, and this thing, and this thing, and why doesn't it do this, and this, and this? Yeah. Yeah, 1,000-watt heater on cycle, 4 seconds on. Yeah, there's that too. Use a very big heater, cycles on and off a lot. That's going to lead to failure way before a lower heater. Kind of like a light bulb where it's like you turn on and never turn off, it kind of runs forever. Same thing in your heater. Like a 100-watt heater might take it's going to take a week to get it up to 80 degrees. But it won't be on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. And so over the next 5 years, that heater is going to be a champion versus the one that's on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off. And it's like, oh, it only made it 14 months before it died. Like, yeah, well, it was on and off 29 billion times. Yep, use a chip like a key fob. Yeah, so I think it's interesting technology, but there's always like the science behind it of like Wi-Fi signals, Bluetooth and stuff don't go through water very well. And so that's where it's like, yeah, I could see that kind of being a pain in the butt. And I'll probably try one at some point. I gotta be honest. Like, I love to talk crap about stuff, but then I also like to back it up and then get it in my hands and go, hey, you know what? This is actually dope. And I'll tell you guys about it. That happens very rarely, but I will let you know if I'm like, I was wrong. This thing's actually really cool. I will say I was kind of like, what's the right word? Like, doing that move when I was reading like in the Facebook group where someone was like, I'm about to buy an Oase canister filter. Are they the best? And then multiple people just chiming in like, nope, mine's not good, blah, blah, blah. And I know there'll be 22 people in the chat right now. They're like, oh, mine's dope. I love it. I get it. But now I guess I like to see that like, okay, people are starting to experience the failure points I saw ahead of time and this and that. And, they're not, it's usable. Every filter is usable. But do I think it commands a premium price for what they've designed? No, I don't. And if I owned one, would I go buy another one? No, I wouldn't, because free is free. Like, if you already own it, then it's free. But if I was going to go buy a new one, I wouldn't be like, yeah, you should buy that. Instead, I'd be like, maybe you want a Fluval, or maybe you want this other one. There's pros and cons to each type. Let's see here. Yeah, the wireless tech is kind of wild, and I first saw it in canister filters, and I don't know if it's actually released in the US, but I did enjoy the premise. The premise of that one, right? So if we can think about why would we use a Wi-Fi or a Bluetooth or a chip heater, right? What are the problems you have with the product? So this is like the way my brain works. So when you go, okay, we're going to add a technology to this product. Well, what of the pain points does it solve? Is it a problem for me to go, let me set that to 78 and put it in? Not really. That's kind of actually really easy. Or, yep, it's a 78. So being able to do that from my phone 6 feet away, is that solving a problem? Not for me. Whereas, okay, well, what do I want it to do? Actually, what I want it to do is I want it to send me a text message when my tank is over 80 degrees. Whether the heater's fault or not. Maybe my fish room's real hot. Send me that notification. That'd be kind of useful, I guess. Right? And, by the way, CJ pumps do have that technology. They have a probe built in, so they'll tell you what the water temperature is. So that is kind of handy. But I want it to tell me when it's failing or something else is going on. That's how I would want the heater to do it. But when it comes to like the canister filter I originally saw like 5 years ago now, I think it was 2018. Yeah, so that's 5 years ago. I liked what they were doing with it. So one, it's already outside of water, so the Wi-Fi works. It was actual Wi-Fi. And it would have on the app, it would tell you the flow. So as it started slowing down in flow, it would start saying, hey, you might want to service this filter, right? And I was like, okay, I like that because I'm a guy that does set it and forget it on those canisters. And if I got an alert on my phone and I was like, oh, we're down to 100 gallons per hour, I got to service that tomorrow. Oh man, right? I think that would be useful. It also measured TDS, which the Fluval G7s have been doing that for the last 15 years. But the fact that it could like actually remind you instead of having to have like an audible alarm or something on the canister filter, I think there's some stuff there that it makes it. But on the heater, you know, I think it went off the screen or something. But they said the number one problem with a heater is that they fail, right? Fail open is the number one problem. Yeah, and so I don't know that that's a harder problem to solve, but sometimes I wonder, have we added technology just so we can say it does a thing, or has it made the product better? And a lot of the Bluetooth stuff, like I'm a guy, look, I'm wearing an Ultra watch, I got an iPhone, but the amount of things I actually use with Bluetooth, I'm always like, oh man, Bluetooth, ugh. And so a chip thing, I'm even more like, ugh. Wi-Fi I can get behind because I like Wi-Fi because, hey, now I can do that from around the world. But when I got to be within X amount from it, I don't like that as much. But if it could provide some benefit that I can't see yet, then I'm all for it. In order to have a heater that can detect and send you information on failure or not, is if a sensor that exists that can detect failure. Easy. All this stuff already exists, right? So if you buy a Neptune system, an Aperture Neptune system that you plug pumps in, right? I was actually doing this with the CJ pumps. So one of the things is if an employee goes over there and goes, doop, 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 let's crank this thing, or turning it down, or the pump's getting worn, or any of the things could happen. You can set it in the app, let me know when this thing is drawing X amount of wattage. So you could have a thing, let's just pretend, right? You've got another device, you plug your heater into it, and you say, alert me when this device hasn't drawn 100 watts in 8 hours. Or alert me when this thing has used 100 watts for 82 minutes straight. Now you've got some level of failure going on. We do that with Inkbird controllers, and it can have an audible alarm, it's controlling it. But the Wi-Fi thing is, oh, well, I was at the grocery store, and now, even though it's beeping in person, it's letting me know that there's no wattage to it. That means a snail crawled into the pump, or the heater has failed, or something like that. So these technologies exist. Currently, they cost a lot of money. They've got a good Apex system, $500, right? But if we can get to the point where technologies get cheaper and more advanced, and now it's just included in your canister filter, or it's only a $5 expense upgrade on your heater, now some of these things start to make sense. But new to market, let me see if I can see the price on that thing. CJ heater. Let's just see if they got. These are the Jolly heaters, the Scuba heater. I don't even know which. I don't know what name the new. Let me see. Chip heater, maybe chip heater. Hopefully, yeah. So it's the CJ Scuba heater. That's what it is. All right. CJ Scuba heater. Is anyone selling them yet? Can I see a price? Here's a 50 watt version. Let's see. Clicking. Do you want to buy it? I do want to buy it. Oh, it's in It's not for sale. They're sold out. That's in Europe. All right, here's one on saltwateraquarium.com. Here we go. Clicking it. Saltwateraquarium.com. It'll be available October 23rd, so 5 days away. You could play with one of these bad boys. And how many watts is this one? 200 watts. So 200 watts, $50. I think that's within the realm of, hey, that's some new technology. I don't feel like I'm being, taken advantage of for that price. Like, would I love, ours are like 30. Would I love to see it like, maybe it's like 40, 35, sure. But, they got a 5-year warranty on it, which if they make that warranty easy, I'm all for. Someone like Fluval does not. They make you cut the cord and then wait 2 weeks to get a heater. That's not easy. That's called your fish are getting cold and you buy another emergency heater at Petco to keep them alive before you get your backup heater. If they make it real easy of like, oh, here's how you prove it doesn't work and we're overnighting it or shipping it today, you'll get it in 3 days. I like that. But, it used to be a long time for C-Chain. I don't know what they're currently doing. But in the fine print, you only got the 5-year warranty if you bought it from a retail store and you registered it this certain way and you jumped through these hoops. Otherwise, it was just a 1-year warranty. And so they were, I don't like that. If you're going to say it's a warranty and it's this many years, just do it. As opposed to, well, you didn't do this and all the hoops. So hopefully they've fixed that warranty shenanigans you had to jump through for all that stuff. Yeah. All right. Heaters are not cheap and they break easily? I agree. Yeah. Am I the only one that puts their fully submersible heater in a hang-on back, or am I crazy? I don't think you're crazy. It can work. Yeah. Assuming it's got good circulation and all that. My AirPods are the easiest Bluetooth thing I own. They still act up. Me too. I own like 3 sets of them. They still... they're good, but they're not perfect. Let's see. I've been live for 2 hours and 21 minutes. And I can smell dinner. I have a message that dinner's ready. I probably do. No, my wife's just asking if I want some broth. No, I'll be done soon enough. My biggest worry with the heater is that why... Okay, hold on. That's my biggest worry with heaters. That's why on all my tanks I have ink birds in it now. Yeah. So an added layer of security. And, yeah. Matt says, I had a very minor house fire in September. You better believe I got the Wi-Fi smoke detectors in days. That's what I'm saying is like, imagine if you had a smoke detector in your home and it's like, oh, it's Bluetooth. It could alert me on my phone. Like, yeah, if you're within 30 feet, like the better technology is like, let me know when I'm at the grocery store. Or, hopefully it's auto dialing 911. You're racing home. All of this stuff. Like, yeah. And I think there are some, like, let's say you had that smoke detector. At the time of alerting me, let me know air quality, which we can do with devices now. That's pretty easy, like my thermostat does it. And also let me know temperature. So if it's 98 degrees, like, oh my God, the fire must be raging. I don't know, right? But we can use stuff to do that. What's for dinner? I think my wife might have said nachos, but I don't know. Oh, yeah. She said, do you want nachos in the oven? I'm going to say, sure, I'll eat nachos. I've had nachos, homemade nachos in like 6+ months. It's been a long time. Bluetooth is amazing. It was made in a UCLA classroom, but it needs to work with Wi-Fi to be great. I agree. All right. I'm going to call it. Yeah, I forgot. Johnny said everyone's live streaming tonight. I forgot I'm kind of overrunning Primetime Aquatics. My bad. If I don't stream when I can stream, then I just don't get to stream, and so that sucks. Sometimes I gotta be 2 streams at the same time. Just sad times, but you can always watch the replay of one or the other. That's the good news. All right, I'm gonna call it. It's been almost 2 hours and 30 minutes, and nachos are going in the oven, so it doesn't take that long to melt some cheese, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you compliment someone. Someone asked earlier if I enjoyed nature today. I did. I sat on a rolly chair and was analyzing food, and I think I learned something. I think Cory prefer Vibrobite-shaped food. in my testing I was doing today. But I don't know. I got more watching to do, more nature to enjoy, and yeah, I try to get a little dose of it every day. Yesterday, my nature that we were enjoying, we had a random tree land and grow up in front of the kitchen, and hummingbirds were sitting on it, and that was cool. I'd never seen a hummingbird sit on anything besides a feeder before, and so I'd never seen the picture or anything. I don't know what hummingbirds do when they're not at a billion miles an hour, but just to see it chilling on a little branch, that's what they do. And it had all the nice green sheen to it, so we knew it was a male. That was a little piece of nature being enjoyed right there, just learning. And whether it's a bug or something else, who knows what I'm learning about, but it's just like, oh, that's a thing I don't know. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about hummingbirds other than they like drinking that nectar. First year we've ever done it, my wife taught me that the green ones are the males. And yeah, who knows? Who knows what else I'm going to learn about these crazy little things. So we'll see you later. Compliment someone. Watch nature no matter what it's doing. Just observe. And I'll see you next time I find some time. In the meantime, buy all of our stuff. That'd be real helpful if you just spend all of your paychecks on all of our stuff, buy all the things, and makes my job easier. So thank you if you do that. Otherwise,